All right, everybody. Well, we are here. So organizing for change and rants for tech in the
You,
house.
you know what I'm gonna do though? I'm gonna make me another a post real quick and then because I totally forgot. So I'm gonna make that and then that'll put at least the word out on my end too.
That's
And
all
we'll
right. You forgot where I live.
dude, I,
You
I have the
know,
I have the
it's
wor- I make no mistake about I have the worst memory, which is why the Supernote is my favorite device. It it literally it keeps my life in order.
you
I
and me
got
both between it and Obsidian. I swear,
yeah.
that's. I used to be able to have really good recall, and I
Uh-huh.
even made a video talking about how I used to have good recall.
Yeah. Live now. All right, so there we go.
MW's here. Hey,
A-
MW, how are you?
MW, thanks for joining. We should give it a few minutes to let some people join in anyway. So yeah, that we good.
You
While
check
we
that
while we
out.
do that,
See a
I'm
little
much
pop up.
yeah. I gotta learn how to do that. Um
Zoni, hello. Good to see you. We're just getting started, getting set up. Uh, Wanted to make sure everything was working. Rod's putting out a post on his end to invite more people in.
yeah.
2530 Media, hello.
What's going on 25? Mr. Media, good to have you. I'm trying to get this
Ryan,
post out.
welcome. We're starting to get some people in the chat. Good,
Cool,
good,
cool,
good.
cool, cool, cool. I
W says
gotta
all good things.
I gotta find I know
Yep,
I
we're
gotta
going
go
to
to your
talk about that, MW. We're going to talk about it.
what's that?
Boy, you dropped a bomb this morning.
Oh yeah.
Yes, he did.
You know what though? We're gonna talk about it. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. We're gonna talk about it. um,
I'm so looking forward to this conversation.
Me too. I am too. Whoa.
I've been stoked. Melissa was giving me a rough time. She was like, "You're like way too excited about this." So
Oh,
how's
you know
everybody
what?
doing? It's
Oh,
actually
you
a
know
little
what though?
warm here in
Maybe I
Indiana.
could scoot over more to this side. There we
That's what
go.
I told you. Man, you got to listen.
There we go.
Uh, Now it looks. Is it sunny there in Philadelphia? It kind
It
of.
is.
It looks like it. It is here in Northwest Indiana. Indiana. I'm going to say that multiple times throughout this stream,
Okay.
and I've got it right here, right here. But yeah, it's beautiful here. Blue skies. We're actually going to hit the 50s today. It's crazy. All right, everyone. Oh, hold on.
Let me pull this over. Bam. That's perfect.
Not seeing us over there. Okay, you all can see us because I'm not seeing us. Give me something in the chat if you can. I see they're back. Yay. Nazoni says, there we are. We're on the delay. Sorry, everybody. It was not your connection. My computer decided to just go completely off the rails and stop.
It
So I had
happens.
to do a hard reboot. So the joys of technology, to say the least. Um, anyway, we're back. So sorry about that. Uh, Good news is, I guess it was Rod needing to get that post out. It said, you guys need a break. You need a minute.
Up, post is out.
So post is
Perfect.
out. All right. All right. Thanks, MW. Lau, hello.
Oh, Lau's in the building. Lau, what's going on?
Assad, hello. We are here. We're here too. Got five concurrent right now in the chat.
All right. Am
Hopefully
I?
we
Am
didn't
I?
lose anybody.
Oh, you know what? I'm gonna go look at it real quick to see where I am in the scene. Oh, I'm good.
Oh, you're dead center now.
Okay, good, good. All right.
Yeah, that's why I was joking with you, saying you should have listened to me earlier.
Yeah, when you said it,
You're
it
like
didn't.
doing the
it didn't make sense to me when you first said it. I was like, what does he mean? Okay, I guess I'll figure it out. And then when I saw it, I'm like, oh, okay, that's what he means.
Thanks, Brian, for saying you're here. So we've got a lot to talk about today.
Indeed.
A lot. And I'm gonna apologize out of the gate. I've got a little dog. His name's Mac. He thinks that when I'm doing anything at this desk, he needs to bark. So if you all hear a little dog and I don't mute it fast enough, start barking his head off, I created obstacles and he's still finding a way around them to get to the window to see the FedEx drivers and stuff. So just full disclosure, if that starts
Dogs are
happening,
crafty. Dogs are crafty.
they are, especially little dogs. Hello from Amman. Awesome. Welcome, welcome.
Oh, I see some people I recognize up in here too. This is awesome.
Oh yeah, we've got several of your crew in here.
Yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah. So, all right. So, what do you want? I mean, we got to start with the most important thing first,
Oh, absolutely.
which is I'm from the great state of Indiana.
Oh, wow.
I
That
am
wasn't
a
where I thought we were
Hoosier.
going with this.
I know it wasn't because you picked Ohio, Idaho.
I don't know. You know what? I knew it was an I. I knew it started with an I. I didn't know you
Ohio
were.
doesn't
I
start
didn't
with
know
an
you were
I.
Hoosier. Oh, you know what? It doesn't. You're right. In my reality, it starts with an I.
There's an I in it. I'll give you partial credit.
There we go. Thank you. Thanks for throwing me some bail there.
And I was born in Ohio. Oh, there goes Mac. And I was born in the Buckeye State. So
Okay.
born in
Okay.
Cincinnati, Ohio.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Cool. I think I might have saw that in your bio when we were first meeting.
Yeah, yeah.
But
I do apologize. FedEx is outside, so he's until that truck's out of here, he's gonna
it's
be
okay.
going crazy.
Everyone hears a barking dog with the FedEx. It's all right.
So no, all kidding aside, I just wanted to throw that one out there because
That's
I was
funny.
like,
I would. You know what? I would never forget now. So thank you.
I mean, you live in an iconic city, so I mean, that makes it a little easier to
Yeah,
remember
to
the truck
remember. Yeah,
better.
yeah, yeah. That's one of the perks of being in Philadelphia. That's one of the perks.
Yeah, and I've been to Bryn Mawr College several
Oh
times. I've
wow,
been to
that's not
Philly a
far
few
from here.
times.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. Actually, that's a nice area of this area. If that makes sense, that's a really nice area.
Okay, we're getting put back on track by the chat.
Okay, all right.
Assad says there are people here waiting to hear about the A5X2. And for those of you who I'm trying to
He's listen. That dog. He does not like some FedEx drivers. What's your dog's name?
Mac.
Mac. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
Mac does
we
not like.
affectionately call him Little Mac.
Oh, what kind of dog is he?
Mac, come here. Mac, Mac. There's nobody even there anymore.
He's like, I don't care.
Well, yeah, he
He's
can
like, I
see the
saw him.
back end of the FedEx truck still.
Hmm.
So anyway, when he calms down, I'll show him to you.
Okay.
He's a mix, but
Okay.
he's about 11 pounds and thinks he's about 50.
That's how it goes. That's how it goes. But yeah, so
uh,
uh
Brian did his grad work at Penn.
oh really nice. Penn is expanding so much throughout the city. It like takes up most of the center city area right now. It's growing so much. Okay, so I'll entertain us while he does that. So, how's everybody going? I'm gonna take this time up to say what's up to people that I see in the chat that I recognize. Lau, what's going on? I don't have the air horns here with me, but I would do them if I had them. Brian, recognize you as well. Lau, we've gotten to you. Nazoni, what's up? How's it going? Who else we got here? Did I see? Mr. Media is definitely in the house. We need air horns. I'm gonna make sure I get air horns somehow, some way when I do live streams at other people's channel. We're gonna make that happen. Okay, I think we're
All
good.
right. All right. FedEx is gone,
All right.
but he won't let me pick him up. He thinks it's time to play. So anyway, he's a cute dog. Take my word for it. One of these
No
days
doubt.
I'll get a screenshot and put it up. Um, but Christina's in the house. Hello,
How's,
Christina Ray.
how's it going, Christina?
All right. So, okay, A5X2,
Yeah.
Rod.
Yeah.
So, Voya this morning, it's funny because you and I have talked a lot about Reddit,
Hmm.
and um, that's where I saw it in my feed first on YouTube because I follow Voya, one of the
Right.
big influences in what led me to do this in the first place.
Hmm.
But then immediately I saw that finally a positive post on the Supernote Reddit forum. And not to say that there haven't been a lot, but
Hmm.
there have been a lot of negative ones as well.
Right.
And I saw in there is when I realized before I saw the video that he dropped the hint that he was getting a device by the end of the month, sometime between now and then. He didn't give an actual date, didn't say when it was going to come with the review, but he's ramping down his review schedule.
Hmm.
So I don't think it's going to happen this year for the review. I think that'll hit early January,
Oh,
maybe.
absolutely. Yeah.
But the idea is that he's definitely getting it.
Well, I mean, see, this, I mean, we're all definitely getting it, right? I mean, we're all going to get it. It's just a matter of when, right? So I think if I understand correctly, the statement was he may be getting it before the end of this month, or as possibility. Or am I wrong about that?
Right. That's not what I heard him say that he got an email that he would be getting a device in
Right.
December.
Hmm.
So that's, and I'd have to go back and re-listen to it because I went immediately and I listened to the whole video. And he also said he was getting a Books Max, and the Max didn't have a confirmed delivery date.
Okay.
So that's what I heard. Now in the chat, if you all um,
Well, for
know
me,
anything else, let me know.
yeah, definitely, Chad. Does
Hi,
anyone,
Amanda.
what we can do? Can we do this? No, we can't. I can't do it. I don't think. Let me see. Um, because maybe what I can do is, no, I don't have that option here. Well, we can't put up the video right here, but I mean, if anybody in the chat knows the specific language, because from what I understand, it was the possibility. But you're saying there was a definite that he's going to have this by the end
No,
of the
he
year.
received an email. I know that specifically. He said, I received an email that I'd be getting the device this month.
Oh,
Now,
okay.
he didn't have a date on when he was coming out with the review or any of that. And it was also very important from my perspective that that was what he was most excited about. It was
Hmm.
the thing he teased when he started talking about it, and it was the thing that he ended with after he did a brutal takedown of Big Me, which was epic.
Oh,
And just,
I'll
if
take your
any of
word
you
for it.
watched that video, it was, I mean,
Okay.
I would be very upset. I would feel ashamed to be Big Me right now.
Well, I'm gonna go. Well, after we get done with the stream here today, I'm gonna go check out that video. Um, but yeah, and I got some news about that. Um, but from what I understood from the news that I got was that it was a possibility. But if it's a definite, he's gonna have it by the end of the month. There's two things with that. So, in my opinion, oh, in my hands, okay, we're good to go. So, I thought I was a little ashy today. But so there's two things with that. The first thing being, even if he does get a device and talks about it early, that doesn't mean it's going to be released, right? For the masses to purchase. So, because reviewers typically get devices early, so by the time the release comes, they can have their like initial take on them ready to like put out the release date. You know what I mean, kind of thing, embargo kind of stuff. But I don't think it's going to be out before the end of the year. So I still stand strong on it not being out before the end of the year. If they're just sending out that we know of one unit to one reviewer that we know of.
Yeah, and I maybe. And here's what my thought is on that. I think if you take into account what they were planning, if they've stayed on task of putting the warehousing together and been mass producing these and they're fine tuning software at this point, I think you could see it released for sale. And this is where you and I kind of had an offline conversation. I
Hmm.
think that technically you and I could both be right. If it's available for sale in December, I count that as a win. If people can't get it in their hands until January, you're right. So I think
Oh,
it's kind of a draw at that point. But I
well,
think that they still might. They have enough time window. I
hmm,
think if Kit gets it right now, if one of us gets it right now within the next week, I think there'll be content out there. Assuming if they know everybody who wants it to review it has it, they'll release and they'll say, here we go. And you'll start having content pop up everywhere.
okay.
That's my guess. Now, I don't know.
Well, see, my thing is, I still, and this is the reasoning for it. I guess I
Thanks,
feel like
MW. Sorry, MW had a clarification. It's going to be sent to MDG probably around latish December. So he did say December, but he didn't give a specific time frame this month.
okay,
Thanks,
good,
MW.
cool, cool. Appreciate that, MW. Absolutely.
Sorry, bro. I didn't
Um,
mean to interrupt you. I just saw
no, no,
the
no,
chat.
no. That's good news to know because that affects the conversation. Um, I think they've been ready. I think these devices have been ready. I think I said this in a live stream last week that I think they've I think that they have the devices. They're ready. They're solidified. I think the only reason they're holding on to the devices and the only reason we don't have them in hand already is because they're just waiting for the new year to release them. They're waiting for the fourth quarter to be over, for the first quarter of the fiscal year to start, and they're going to release it at the beginning of the fiscal year and and boost their first quarter numbers. I think this is what this is. I think this is exactly what this is all about. I think this is about fourth quarter numbers that were not going to be good if they release the device halfway through that fourth quarter. You're going to get a fraction of the sales you would have gotten, and though I mean, they would have sold a lot of them, right? But it would have paled in comparison to the sales they would have gotten if they were able to get this thing out when books got out the Note Air 2 or Note Air 4C, which was in the beginning of October. Like October is the beginning of the fourth quarter in the U.S. So like
Yeah,
if you're not,
and the only pushback I'd have on that is they've notoriously done December releases.
but see, hear me out. See, I'm getting to that.
Okay, okay.
So in the terms of like business, right? That's what you would typically do. That's why Apple does their September event and they release their products in late early October, ready for that fourth quarter. That's why books release the Note Air 4C in early October. That's just a normal business move, right? For me, Rata has not acted like a normal business company till this point. They've they've done non. I mean, you can attest to that. They've done non-conventional things since they released the Supernote. From what I understand, they've keep in contact with their customers, which is something that most companies do not do. They keep you in the loop of the design process, which is something most companies do not do. I couldn't imagine books doing something like that or Remarkable, Apple, Microsoft. None of those companies do this kind of thing. But that's normal. But that's normal procedure for most companies, right? That's just business protocol. But Rada has not been acting and moving in that normal business protocol kind of way till now. Like I said before, that tells me that something has changed at Rada, whether it's management, whether that's the investors that they have there. But the way this plays into the fact that they've released devices in December before is that, like I said before, Rada has always been unconventional. So that works for them when they're doing that. But now I think that something has changed over there that's gotten them to act in a more traditional business manner as far as not communicating like they normally do with the public about release dates and such. They made that totally clear in that carrot letter. So people were mad about that, but I saw that as just normal business practice. Like they were just getting to norm. They were just getting back to normal business. Like that's how I saw that. So that's why I think they've released in December in the past, and they won't release in December now. And that's because something has changed in Rata. In just the short time that I've known the company and known about the company, I feel like something's changed at Rata. But yeah, that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, well, and I think, and first of all, everybody, how about my sound now? I got several comments in the sound department here. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, everybody, for telling me. How is it now? If I can get a thumbs up in the chat, MW, again, all of you, thanks for telling me
Oh
about
yeah,
that.
yeah. Thanks you guys for joining
Um,
too.
and I'm going to start right here. So Nizoni mentioned the Voya said it's ready and he'll probably get it late-ish. We heard the date, but thank you for that.
Hmm.
But I thought what was awesome is he said it's ready to go. It's good to go.
Yeah.
And I agree with you on that part,
Hmm.
uh, Roderick. I think that they've had it ready from a hardware perspective for a while. I think when they released the letter about the carrot, I think that at that point, I think the device was hardware wise ready
Ready. Yep. Hmm.
as far as from a spec perspective, as far as having all of the pre-engineering, all of that stuff done. I think what they expected then was to be able to bump up the mass production. And thanks for Assad, says my voice is right back up. And then Mashup Mike's in the house. He
Mr.
forgot us.
Mike.
But then look at this. We're not at each other's throats. This is all friendly banter.
Oh
Come
yeah,
on
yeah.
now.
Hey,
We're
listen,
all
Roger gets passionate when he talks. I don't care if I'm talking about the cereal I had in the morning. So,
and seriously, so here's why I don't think that 100% tracks. And here's why.
mhm.
One, I think that even though they mentioned that they weren't going to share as much information, if you look on Reddit at how they're engaging, they can't help themselves. So
Yeah.
if you go into Hex to ASC, who is the chief chat officer on Reddit. So he's the
Hmm.
main player. There's him and there's Mulan. And
Hmm.
Mulan does a lot of the troubleshooting day to day, and he does too, but he does most of the official, like announcement type stuff. It gets into the weeds.
Okay.
He's released detailed specs, and if you go to my recent blog, I link you to some of his comments. He goes in on its Carter 1300 and some of the stuff we kind of knew, but
Hmm.
also starts talking about uh, the um, the reasoning behind it. And that was kind of that follow up to the carrot where they were talking about scrapping the A5 Slim potentially because they had to pivot to make this whole new device.
Hmm.
So I think, and they're still updating their roadmap, and they've done 3 releases within the last month.
Of
They've
what?
updated
Oh, the
Atelier as
updates.
a
Yeah.
beta, and then they've done a new release of the desktop app on Mac and on Windows,
Which
which
is a
is
good sign
much
that
better.
they're going to release soon.
And they've done an actual software update. Now, the software update could have been handled better. They should have done a beta first, which they did not do, which is out of character for them. They
Hmm.
usually do beta, let us test it as beta
Right.
testers, and then they go in.
Which
And
I thought was odd for that to for the, when it happened. Right. I thought that's odd.
it's the second time they've done it. So they haven't released a beta since April. And someone in the beta community, because they have a separate subreddit for beta, and they said, how do I confirm I'm still on it? And so I went on there. I said, they haven't released one since April.
Okay.
So likely you're still on it once you sign up.
Yeah.
Um, but again, to me, coming from, and I know you and I both come from a retail background, and I've got some banking thrown in there. To me, Nomad, I think everybody again. All right, we're back in. Saying we're live again. Sorry, everyone. I do not know what is going on with my system today. I'm definitely going to have to do some troubleshooting after we're offline and deal with. Whoa, there's been a lot of trash talk in here since I left. What are y'all doing?
Oh, it
Uh,
dropped totally.
Oh. Look at this. All right. So we still got 10 in here. So apologies again, everybody. Um, but okay, let's see here. So that signal, let me pop up. So I'll definitely do seriously, Mike. Sorry, I gotta pop this one up. Well, it's not gonna let me. Smash a mic. There it is. Crop circles in cornfields. Stop it. Just stop it. That's Iowa. That doesn't happen in Indiana. No, it was not your all's internet. For some reason my system today has now bogged down twice and cut me off, and it's locked up everything. So I've had to do a hard reboot. But we're back now. So let me finish my thought real quick, Rod, on this A5X2. I don't think from having been, I don't think you leave sales on the table. I think Rada right now has to be concerned for two reasons. One, yes, I think A6X X2
Oh,
sales were much better than originally expected.
are we
But
back and I just don't know it yet?
are you not? Hold on, dude. Epic fail on my part. Can you hear me now and see me? Can you hear and see me now, Rod? Hold on. Says I'm there. Rod, can you hear me? My sound's coming through to everybody else, correct?
Wait, y'all can see me? Y'all can see me?
Yeah,
Because we
we
about to
see
put on
you
the
and
show. If
hear
you can,
you.
can y'all
Can
see
you not
me?
hear?
Wait, can y'all see and hear me?
Yeah.
Or are y'all talking to Ed? All right, hold on. So I think what I need to do is I didn't know y'all could see me still. All right, so what I'm gonna do? All right, I'm gonna restart my stuff, Ed. You just stay where you're at.
Hold
I'll be
on. Can
right
you hear
back.
me? Hey, can you hear me? All right, everybody. Sorry about that. Hold on. Let's see what we get now. We should have
All right, there we go.
popping. All
I
right.
think
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay. And yeah, I can hear you. So it's right. So he said, oh, man. This has been one crazy stream. Uh, yeah, everybody just a ton of, yeah, we can hear you both. It was like a crazy, weird moment.
It was weird. I was like, dang, could they have heard and hear me see me the whole time? 'Cause I was cutting loose up in here.
We could. And I was going off, and Masha Mike says the Batman glasses are interfering. uh, so no, and I finished my thought to the chat, but I'll recap it real fast for you, Rod. I just
Yeah.
don't think Rada can afford to leave sales on the table at this point. I think they're seeing tremendous success for the A6X2, but I think with the books Note Max coming out right on the horizon,
Hmm.
that could hurt the A5X2 because it's bigger, which a lot of people have been wanting, including me. I mean, I'm still going for the A5X2 because of the tool set,
Hmm.
but the Note Max, no front light, BSR, size, Carter 1300.
That thing is gonna
It's
clean
a
up.
it's going to clean up in that market space.
Mm-hmm.
So I think when it comes to the full Android tablets, no, you're going to get no argument from me that it's going
Yeah.
to clean up
Mm-hmm.
against, quite frankly, not very much competition. They're
Right.
competing
That's that.
against themselves with the Tab X, and they're
Mm-hmm.
competing with the Quaderno, which is a nice device from what I've heard, but doesn't
But
do a
old.
lot. It's yeah, well, what three? About the same age as the I would say the Supernote or the Remarkable 2.
Yeah,
Maybe a
but
little newer. Maybe a little newer.
okay.
But
Yeah, but that's certainly not Note Max new. So.
no, no, and that's what I'm saying. So I think I don't know about the internal shakeup. I mean, just in the communications that I've had with Rada over the years,
Mm-hmm.
the tone seems very consistent.
Okay.
I think they
And that's good.
personally, I think they wigged out because of the Reddit blow up because they had so much hate coming in so fast, so often that it just caused panic on their end. Now, that's
Mm-hmm.
me speaking from what I see and from someone who's haven't been in customer service for a long time. I think they panicked
Yeah.
and they said, well, we got to put out communication. And they didn't take the time to vet it and put it out through the right channels. They were reactive.
Mm-hmm.
That's my take on it. But I think they'll put it out this year if they can. I really do. I think they'll at least put it for sale. Now, whether it'll get people's hands, but again, if they release it on the 24th and somebody was thinking about buying something, they'll put a little, IOU under the tree. I've done
Yeah,
that for
yeah,
years. Yeah,
yeah. I mean, the thing is, I mean, it's going to get bought whenever it gets released, right? But I just think when you're thinking in business terms, it gets a little tricky. But whenever it releases, I think it's going to sell good. But the big thing is, or the good thing is, we won't have to wait long to find out what's going to happen because the end of the year is nigh.
yeah, it is. And quite frankly, I thought it would be out by early December
Hmm.
or late November. So I was wrong as far as my timeline.
Hmm.
Um, but at the same time, I still, if you look back historically, they've done December releases. And I think as long as they're not, to your point, if there hasn't been a major management shakeup
Hmm.
with a U.S. interest or Western interest,
That's what they see.
uh,
That's the thing, right?
but they're a Chinese company. And I think that, that part, and I can't remember who raised that with you, but I thought that was a good point, was that
Hmm.
they're not on that cycle, but they still have to be aware of it. So I think your
Right.
counter argument there was very good.
Hmm.
But historically, they've released whenever they got it ready in December.
Hmm.
Like last year, we had this debate on the E team on whether or not the Nomad technically falls in this year or falls in last year
Hmm.
because technically it released in December,
Right. And
but it
that's
wasn't in anybody's hands until
There you
January.
go. And it's like the music industry, right? If a device isn't complete and for sale by a certain time in the year, it's not considered for that year's awards. You know what I mean? It falls on the next year's awards, kind of like thing. So this is kind of like that situation. Yeah.
Mashup Mike's back. People that are already in the Supernote community are going to be lured by the Note Mags. Oh, not all. Yeah, I think that's true, Mashup Mike. If you're not already in the Supernote, if you're not using that software, I think the Note Max becomes a pretty attractive option.
Hmm.
Um,
And I asked that question on on one of my streams too. What device do people buy if they're not going to buy this? Like if people are like, listen, I'm tired of waiting for the Supernote, but I want a comparable device to the Supernote. I don't think and this is the argument I was going to get to, but I don't think made it that far in the argument during the stream. Is that I don't think there is a comparable device to the Supernote on the market, right? I mean, I don't. There's nothing quite like it.
no,
So.
there's not, and I think that's because to me, there's nothing quite like it or Remarkable. I think they kind of set themselves apart because Remarkable is just a paper replacement. I mean, it does
And
some more stuff, but for the most part, it's cut off from the ecosystem,
mhm.
and it kind of just does its thing.
And that's why I think they're both different. They're the only ones that are not doing Android, which makes them unique in the space, right? Amongst the sea of other makers and manufacturers in the space. They're like we're making and creating a unique experience. And that's what I like about both of them.
Yeah, well, and Remarkable takes that even more so because it's a Linux-based platform, so it's
Hmm.
not running even an Android skin. I
Right,
mean,
right.
with Supernote, you're at least running a version
Of
of
Android, yeah.
Android, so you can do some side loading in the APKs.
Hmm.
Um, Here recently, I got a video coming out tomorrow, but I've been messing around with the Mobiscribe Wave,
Hmm.
and this head upside down. This is a nice little device, but the truth is, the A5X2, once you sideload APKs, I can read everything I want,
Yeah.
and I can write. And that's just pretty cool.
Hmm.
So we've got some more chat here. Let's see. At
Yo,
some
listen.
point, I was thinking that Rada might hold the A5X2 just to make some sales for the Nomad. I don't, I don't think so, Assad. I think that's a good point, and I think had it come out on time, or earlier this year, I would agree.
Hmm.
I think that's what they're doing with the Note Air 4C. I think you've made that point, Rod. I think that they're not releasing the 4.0 software yet
Yep.
because they're trying to drive sales of the 4C.
Absolutely.
And I think you're spot on with that.
Hmm.
I think at this point, they're getting Rada, getting back to them, are getting so much hate from their Reddit community because, like Rod said, they don't do things like other companies do. Their roadmap is still being updated. They're still, I mean, when I was doing that deep dive for that blog the other day, and I went into the comments in Reddit, and if you don't know this, Rod, it's gold. You click on the user profile and you can see
Hmm.
every comment and every post
Yeah, I've seen.
in time.
I saw that when you sent me that one link. I appreciated that because I didn't even know that was a thing. I promised my users I would learn more about Reddit, and I am.
But the reason I bring it up is if you look at that, you know, Hex 2 ASC is in there and is like, oh, what's your problem? Here, let me do a video, and pops up a real quick real time video on how to fix the issue. And Mulan, every other post is saying, send me a DM. And I've went through that process as a customer. They
But
sent
you
me
know
a
what though?
software patch via Reddit to
They
fix
they
my
are helpful.
device.
Hmm.
And I'm like, so they don't do things the traditional way. And I think that's refreshing. It's also frustrating for customers who think they need to get this thing now.
Hmm.
And
And
I
that's the
think that
thing.
sets an unrealistic level of expectation that Remarkable, who hasn't released a new device except the Paper Pro in the same amount of time,
Hmm.
doesn't have to deal with because they just stay quiet over in
And
the
that's
corner
what they
selling their
realized.
device.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they also lost the availability to, or the ability to source their components. They can't make the A5X.
Well,
And
see,
that
that's
is
the
a
biggest
bigger
problem.
issue.
That right there fuels every other problem. If not for that, at least they can fall back on, hey, we have a 10-inch device that we can sell you. It's not what we're making right now to as a replacement, but you can still buy one from us. Their inability to be able to say that is what's causing a lot of frustration for a lot of people because a lot of
I
people would
agree.
buy that A5X if they had the
Oh,
ability,
yeah.
but the secondhand market just isn't feasible for a lot of people. So,
Yeah. And Assad's got to go, so I want to pull this up before they leave. It says, as soon as A5X2 gets released, the Nomad sales will gets decreased. I think yes for some people,
hmm.
but I also think the 7.8-inch market is very popular right now because people like that small portability factor. Personally, I like the 10-inch devices, but there's still going to be those people who just want a little sketch pad or just want a little notebook. I mean, the Palm is blowing up and it's 6 inches.
See, that's the thing. See, I agree with you on smaller is becoming big, but I think the 7.8 inch is in between those two popular sizes. I think the sizes right now that are popular is that small size like the Palma and the 10-inch size like the A5X2 is going to be. I think those like I think this 7.8-inch screen. I don't think I would not have bought a Nomad if they had a 10-inch screen device available when I was buying a Supernote. I'm just going to be real with you. I would not have bought the Nomad. And I look at the Tab Mini C that I love using, but as soon as I got a bigger screen to use, it was over. I haven't touched that thing in I don't know how long. So I use it as an e-reader now, not as a note taker anymore, like I used to. So I do think smaller is becoming bigger as far as popularity, but I think that smaller goes beyond that 7.8-inch screen. It's just 7.8 inches. It's tough, man. It's tough.
See, I think it works if you're just doing note taking and reading.
Hmm.
Like
Reading is great. Yeah.
I loved reading books on the Nomad.
Hmm.
Absolutely loved it. Thought it was great. What I didn't enjoy was trying to look at a PDF or something with multiple
Right.
columns or
Right.
having to actually work on a document that
Hmm.
was doing that. I know Brandon Boswell had said use it in landscape, but it just never worked for me. So now my engineering son has it and he uses it to sketch and do work, and it works great for him. So I
Okay.
think there are use cases where it works really well. But the reason I think, because the A5X was available at the time when the Nomad came out, but people wanted to buy the modular thing. I think that's one component that's very big is the modularity of it.
Hmm.
And it's the new shiny thing. And then they started to have that buyer's remorse that you're talking about. That's this just isn't big enough for what I need it to do.
Hmm.
And if it becomes an e-reader, it's an overpriced e-reader,
You see, there you go. And
which
that's
is
why I
why
say
this Wave, I bought it because it was $99.
it's perfect for an
Which,
e-reader. That size, the
yeah,
7.8-inch size to me is perfect for e-readers. But when you talk about note taking, now listen, I I'm probably odd in this respect that I would like a Palma size note taker. Listen, you throw a Wacom layer on that Palma, it's bought. I bought it yesterday. So it doesn't have
okay.
that though. Can't do it.
Okay, we got a debate going on here in the chat. We got to jump in real quick. Mashup
All right.
Mike, and I heard this. I watched the replay. I watch all of my boys' work here. Everything he does, I watch. Even though I'm not going to buy the device, it doesn't matter. I watch it because I like the insights. Occasionally, he throws a jab in at me online. I like it. It's fun. Um,
I
I'm going to
appreciate
wear a
that.
Rance T-shirt anyway. So that's
That
it's
you get
on
into
the
mashup,
list.
Mike.
Yeah, yeah. I popped him up on his. I'm gonna wear it anyway. It's my thing. I mean, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna support my team. Um, but I like Nozzoni comes back in and says that Rod has to wear an Indiana shirt if it comes out in December.
Listen, I would do that. You got a deal. You got a deal. I'll rock. I'll rock. And listen, the household would not like me rocking an Indiana shirt in here, but I would do it anyway. I'll do it anyway.
I'll make sure I find. I might even send you one, like something really atrocious, like a fan shirt.
Oh man.
No, I'm
Oh
kidding.
boy.
I
You
wouldn't
know
do that.
what? Listen, we might have to get a special orange to send Ed in case it don't come out until January.
Yeah, I mean, it could be.
Yeah, yeah.
So Mashup says A6X, A6, I can't talk, A6X2 for note taking in meetings and the A5X for distilling at home. See, I think that's where that A6X or that 7.8 inch does kind of fit for me.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, like I said, I wasn't using it on the daily because the 10-inch to me isn't that intrusive. But I could see having, this is my dream, an A5X2 and an A4X2, for the A4X2 being for annotating PDFs and
Mm-hmm.
working with
See?
large documents,
Yeah.
and then you step down.
Yep.
Um, but again, that's my case, and I think everybody has their own, kind of. What are
Let
you thinking
let's
about
just
it?
ask the chat real quick. How many of you guys use the 7.8-inch form factor for note taking? Like throw
Christina
it down in the
Ray.
chat.
Yeah, Christina Ray right there says uses the Tab Mini for knitting patterns.
Yeah, but see, that's like more reading. That's using it more like a e-reader though, right?
I don't know. It depends if she's designing. Well, I don't know. I don't do knitting
Oh yeah, you're
patterns.
right. You're
So
right. You're right.
Christina, tell
Maybe
us.
she's making them. Maybe she's making them. You're right. I didn't think about that.
And then Vishal, please tell me if I'm pronouncing that right. But Vishal says still get a Nomad if the A5X2 comes out.
Yeah. See, I don't think. See, I think the small size is that Palma. If you're going, and it's just so unfortunate they don't offer a Wacom layer with that. Um. Oh, have we? You still there?
No,
Oh
we're
yeah,
still
yeah.
here.
Okay. All right.
Wait a minute. No, we're
Matt,
not. Shh.
we're here.
Are you there?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, I thought I was frozen. Okay,
No,
I
no, no.
see.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Good, good. So Mashup says he was talking about the A5 and the A4. Now, and you just mentioned that too. I think that's the progression, right? I think when you're note taking, I think it's Palma size. Throw it in your pocket, and then you got the 10-inch size, and then like you just said, the A4 size. I think that the 7.8 is just so weird for writing.
But it is good for viewing. One thing that I'll kind
Yes,
of
good
tease
for
this:
viewing.
watch my video tomorrow. There may or may not be a Supernote partner app on the Mobiscribe Wave. Just saying.
Oh wow. Okay, no doubt.
Want to read something while you're reading something else, and you want to still see your notes? It's
Okay.
there.
All
You
right.
know.
That's what's up.
Um, uh, Rod will only do it if it's orange like Syracuse.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe.
And Christina Ray agrees with you on the Palma if it had a Wacom layer.
Yes. I'd
To
buy the
me,
thing
the
in a minute.
Palma's a miss. I can't believe the thing is as popular as it is because
Yes.
it's not a phone
Mm-mm.
and you can't write on it.
I'm like, dude, could you imagine? Could you
I don't
imagine if it was
understand it.
a phone and you could write? Oh my God, they would clean up. Clean up, bro.
I
Oh.
don't understand it. And that was I was kidding about Voya going in on Big Me, but they sent him a high break unsolicited, and he was
Oh.
angry, like no.
Yeah.
Um, because the high break interests me. The high sense that used to be out that isn't available in the U.S. markets. I mean, it's available here, but it doesn't work. You know, I like the idea of an e-ink phone,
Yes.
but it has to be done well. And books with the Palma went 90% of the way and then said, "Nah, no
That's
Wacom
why
layer,
That's
no
why I'm
phone."
telling you, they're gonna do it. This is just a test bed for them because to me, the Palma is the most mainstream e-ink device being made right now. Like people who don't care about e-ink at all know about the Palma. You know what I mean?
MKBHD reviewed it.
That's what I'm saying. Like
It's huge.
people who typically do reviews on like super mainstream only products are talking about the Palma, and I'm just like, dude, you gotta. That's just oh,
It's
that
crazy.
they gotta capitalize on that. They gotta capitalize on that.
And my friend Joe Moss, who thanks for joining the stream, Joe, said to run Obsidian. Uh oh, there's Mac. Um, so I agree. And if you saw Vlad Campos put out a email or a video yesterday on um, using Obsidian with the Nomad, figured out how to
Mm-hmm.
make it work.
Mm-hmm.
So it'd be interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah.
Again, no root access causes problems. Okay, I
Yeah.
think he's done.
All right. Yeah, I definitely think that there's a market for it. There's room for it. It's mainstream enough to where people know about it. Like that's the gateway device for me right now. You know what I mean? That device gets people looking at e-ink and then they buy a tablet. You know what I'm saying? Then they buy something else. So that's the gateway e-ink device.
Yeah, I think it is. I mean, it's brought it. I mean, other than like the readers, But for no, I don't
Nah,
know
the readers.
because Kindle and stuff are blowing up.
No, they yeah. Well, see, the thing is, I don't think the readers, and that I don't even think those are mainstream. I don't see the readers as being mainstream. A lot of people buy those things more than they buy the note takers, but you're not getting these mainstream people talking about these e-readers. Like MKBHD has never talked about a Kindle. You know what I
No,
mean?
no, yeah, maybe mainstream isn't the right word. Maybe popular. So
Yeah,
it
definitely
hasn't hit
popular.
pop
Yeah,
culture, and I
right.
think I think you're 100% right
Yeah,
there. Yeah,
yeah.
I would. I keep trying to get Brad Colbo to do a like use Atelier and do some drawing. He's done the Remarkable now twice. He's done the
Okay.
Remarkable 2 and he's done the Remarkable Paper Pro for illustrators. I'm
Mhm.
like, come on, please do this other one. I just want to see it because I want to learn how to
Is the
draw.
new version of the draw is it the drawing app they just updated?
It's in beta and
Okay.
it's pretty cool because it allows you to export the canvas instead of just the image.
Okay.
So you could basically like do flourishes, and that's not me. We need to ask Vladimir about that.
Hmm.
But and then you can export the canvas and then you can put that into Photoshop or Illustrator and do kinds of crazy
Oh,
stuff with
nice.
it. So it's pretty cool.
Okay.
Um,
I'm
but
not a drawer, so I haven't really gotten into the
me neither. No,
atelier. I don't.
Atelier is what I was told.
Okay.
I was
There we go.
corrected
There
that
we go.
that
So
was the
atelier.
correct
So
pronunciation.
yeah, listen. If you say that, it's good enough for me. Atelier. I haven't used it that extensively because I'm not a drawer. You know what I mean? So
I do mind maps with it, so I will do that kind of stuff. So
yeah.
like I'll draw out concept mapping. I'll
Let me
use
ask you
it
this
for that.
though: does it handle strokes better than the note taking app? As far as like when you have a lot of strokes on the screen, does it handle those strokes better in the Atelier app versus the note taking app? Like if I were to do the same drawing in each.
It depends on what you're doing. Like for me, for a concept map, the reason you would do it that way is because of that zoomable canvas. You can go from 50% to 150%. So you
Okay.
can zoom way out, draw what you need, and then shrink the
So
canvas
you
and
can't
then
do that in
zoom
Notes
in.
app.
Can't do that in the Notes app.
Okay.
That's
All right.
something hopefully they're going to have at some point, but they haven't yet.
Okay. All right.
Um,
Like I've never tried to do
Mesh,
that on the Supernote. So I know you can do that on the books product.
yeah.
Yeah.
And let's jump into the comments here. We've got quite a few. I'm falling behind on
All
here.
right.
Mashup Mike says Nomad for note taking all the time, and that's what I used it for when I had it was note taking. So if I was going into a meeting really quick, I could use it, but I could use the A5X as well. Um, Joe Moss agrees with you, Rod, that the 7.8 is kind of too small.
Yeah.
And that was based off of MW's comment about too small for software development. So I think that's
Mm,
those,
yes.
and again, that comes down to use case, and I think
Uh-huh.
it's
Yep.
important.
Yep.
Um, David Paxton says use the V Woods Mini and the larger one together. I think that's kind of the sweet spot. If you can afford two devices,
Yeah, but I'm
you
thinking,
pick which one you like the most, and then you buy the complement.
well, see,
Like for
that's
me, it would be the 4X2 and the
exactly,
5X. For somebody
exactly.
else, it may be the 5X2 and
And I agree
the
with that too.
6X.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. Get in an ecosystem, buy your small device and a bigger one. You're doing if you can afford to do that, you're doing good. My only problem with that is again, like I know that with 100% certainty when I get the bigger Supernote, that this my smaller Supernote will be relegated to just living in my bag. I'm just gonna throw it in my bag to just have it when I'm on the go. When I want to take notes on the go, and it's just gonna live there. I'm not gonna use it like I'm gonna use the A5X two. I know it.
And I'm the same way. So I think that for me, that's what's going to happen. I mean,
Yeah.
that's why Trey now has it because he
Right.
could
Yeah.
use
I
it.
forgot. Yeah. Yeah. You.
The A6X2, and
You've already gone through this.
and I think that's the beauty of it in a way is that you'll find one that works best for you.
Hmm.
And for him, I gave him the option. I said, although I don't know that I'll ever part with this thing. Even when the new one comes out, I think I'll
Dude,
still keep this
I
around
hear
because
you,
I love
man.
it.
I hear you.
3.5 years later,
Hmm.
it's the only piece of technology that I can truly say has changed the way I do everything.
And that you probably use almost every day for that whole
Use it every
three
day.
years that you've had. Yeah, you know what I mean. So
Yeah.
that's how I feel about the Supernote. I don't have another piece of technology that I can say that I use every day since I've had the product. You know what I mean? Like I don't know of another thing.
I can't either. I mean, other than your PC or your laptop, but
Right,
even
right, right.
then, no. And MW put in here, and this was something um and this shows you how RADA can't help themselves. So this is a perfect example, Rod, of why they can't help themselves by communicating. So Hex 2ASC said straight line tool and shape recognition is coming.
Okay.
So that kind of stuff, in the comments when they're asked questions, they almost can't help themselves. They're almost
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, we're not going to do official releases, and that's part of their problem. Put this on your website. Put it on your website, do official communications, then jump into Reddit and talk about it. Instead, they post everything on Reddit.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had that conversation publicly in some of my videos and
Mm-hmm.
privately. I've said, guys, you know, use your official communication channels, then,
The
kind of
blogs,
jump
right?
into
Yeah.
the others to do it.
Yeah.
Um,
Because they do blogs on their site,
but not as much. That's the thing. They're so involved with Reddit that they don't update that as much. And I
which is
think that's
why
one of their biggest problems.
yeah, and that was my thing. I'm just learning that I mean, I know Reddit is the place to go, like I said, but I'm just learning that this is where most people would rather communicate. You know what I mean? And that was an eye opener to me, realizing that.
Well, but you can do that as a company. You know, you can communicate on your website, then link it to Reddit and then have the conversation. And that's what I think is missing.
Right. Okay.
And
Good
it's
point.
it's hard for them to kind of thread that needle.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Lau agrees with me that the 10-inch is portable enough, and he agrees with you that the 7.H doesn't really fit that use
We
case.
should expound on that too, because I think that's a good point. Like,
This is a good point too, though.
you said,
We can kind of do both here. So Mashup Mike compares it to a moleskin. And I don't know if you've heard Kit talk about moleskin notebooks,
mm-hmm,
but they're really big in the teaching world and in academics.
mm-hmm,
They're what a lot of people think of as the perfect note taking size.
right,
I don't know that I 100% agree, but it's a real thing. And
mm-hmm,
I think Lau's saying, no, in my everyday practice, no, it's too small.
right.
I want a legal pad.
But even that moleskin, that's smaller than the A5X2. Those
Yeah, it's the
notepads are smaller.
A6X too.
You see, oh, I'm sorry, my bad. A68.
Yeah.
But they're smaller than. Aren't they smaller than the A6X2 though?
I think they're right at it.
Okay,
I think it's almost not even a difference worth talking about. But
okay.
I could be wrong on that. I've never used one. I have colleagues that love them
Mm-hmm.
and live and die by them. But
I'm about to look up one
um,
right now. Because if I'm not mistaken, oh, they are the size of the A6X2. Okay.
Nozzoni says used to take Nomad to take notes on the go, took it everywhere, but it got ruined with the update, and I can't write on it anymore without major frustration. Now, did you install that's a good point. That was the misstep with them, was releasing that software too early and thinking they fixed that uh, non-contact writing
Mm-hmm.
and then removing it as a feature
Mm.
and then having to go back and reinstitute it. So Nozzoni, I'd suggest you reach out to them and try that again because you might be able to fix it with that latest update. So that's just a little FYI. Um, Yeah, Masha, this goes back to what I was talking about earlier, Roderick. Boy is even paying to send the big bean back. He was pretty unhappy.
So what was the problem with the Big Me?
They sent it to him without
Letting him
declaring who it
know.
was from. So he didn't
Okay.
know what the package he was getting was from, so he paid import duties on it
Oh.
and he got it. and he'd already done a video severing
Oh,
ties with them,
oh
saying he wasn't going to
man,
review any of their products,
I'd have been
but he
hot
was
too.
concerned it was another product, so he didn't want to not accept it,
Hmm.
which makes sense. And then he accepted it, he gets it, and he's holding up the box. I mean, it was
Yeah,
brutal.
I would
I
have
mean,
been
Voy
upset
is
too.
such a nice guy, but he has this way of kind of, you mentioned bless your heart, which is far more nuanced than you gave it credit for, because it can show real concern as well. He went full sarcastic bless your heart on
Hmm.
them in a very, he can do that really well. This was not that though. This was like, you all are ridiculous.
Okay.
This was
Okay.
you know, this was bad.
Okay.
So that's
Yeah. Well, I didn't know what the real issue was, other than I know he didn't work with them like that. So, but yeah, that I would be upset too. You got to pay for something that you didn't even you don't from people you don't mess with. That's yeah.
crazy.
I feel the same way. Yeah.
And then Assad says Palma just bought a Palma right before the Palma 2 was released. That's got to be frustrating. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, one thing you got to say about Rada, and it's frustrating, people have been waiting on a device a long time, but they're not releasing a device every other day.
Yeah.
I mean, if I was in the books ecosystem, I think I'd be a little frustrated with all of the things that they've released.
I'm used to this cycle. Just because of the phones and the computers, I'm used to that yearly cycle. So when I realized books was on a yearly cycle, I didn't expect anything else because I kind of thought everyone was on the yearly cycle. But when I realized Supernote hadn't released the product in like 3.5 years at that point, 4 years, I was like, oh, that's how they do it. And Supernote hadn't released one in over 2 years at that point. So I was like, okay, yeah, it's it's a longer cycle than what normal tech is for e-ink.
Yeah.
And I
And
think
the
it should be.
remarkable Well, and the Remarkable 2, I think, is about on the same release cycle as the Supernote, very
Hmm.
close.
4 years, about four
Um,
years or so.
and so but Books has gone to a 6 month in some cases.
Yeah,
I mean, they're
that
throwing
tab.
stuff out way fast, and to me, that's just they've become to where they're competing against themselves. But then again, they're also drowning out a lot of other things.
Well, I think what Onyx does is they just say, okay, is there new technology out right now? No matter how minuscule it is, they're going to revamp the product with this new technology. So I think that's just how they approach it. They're like, okay, a new backplane is available. Cool. We're gonna now refresh our whole line with this new technology. A new front light's available. Cool. Now we're gonna refresh our whole line. So they'll just refresh everything when something new is out. I think
And I
good or
think
bad.
that's what Remarkable does, because the Remarkable 2 you buy today, I mean, they don't make huge changes. You still get the same screen resolution, that kind of stuff. But a lot of the internals, from what I've
Mm-hmm.
heard, are different and they're
Mm-hmm.
sourced differently. And I
Yeah.
think if Rada would have been able to do that with the A5X, but for some reason they couldn't, then they would be doing what Remarkable's doing, which is basically still selling the legacy
Yes.
product
Yes.
until the new thing comes out.
Mm-hmm. So it makes you
So I think
wonder.
that's a big piece.
But you gotta think in a world where people will say you will pay for this, it's gonna get made, right? So the fact that they couldn't get those parts to me was a sign of not that the parts were not available, because to me, if you can sell it, people will make it. Like, and perfect case in point, Remarkable. They've been selling that Remarkable 2 now for over 5 years. Like,
I know, and
saying
and people still buy it.
right, and they don't buy the same parts for it, just like you just said, because those parts become hard to source. But what you do is you find another alternate, like either vendor that sells the same specs just under a different serial number or something. So because the specs aren't changing, the vendor that they buy from may change, but the specs aren't changing. So I just think if Rada could do, and Rada should have been able to do that, and the fact that they couldn't, I don't know. It just were their parts that unique. You know what I mean? And that's a thing too. Maybe their parts were so unique that they were like, we have to use this specific kind of thing. And
See,
modularity could have
that's
been
what
a
I'm wondering.
factor. Modularity, like you've been talking about, that could have played a part in it as well.
Yeah, and I think that's where they run into a lot of different things. So let's jump into the chat
Hmm.
real quick, and we're almost caught back up now because there was a lot of back and forth
Okay.
between people.
Yeah. Yeah.
But are there improvements with some Microsoft apps? First of all, the apps, and Ian, for me, thanks for joining. Appreciate that. Uh, they don't actually, you can sideload apps, but on the Supernote, what you're doing is you actually can directly connect through IMAP to your email provider, and then they run it through their mail app, which I find works really well. And you can
Hmm.
connect your Google Calendar or your Outlook calendar that same way to the calendar app. Um, they're supposed to be working on multiple calendar support, which would be a game changer for me, because that's huge. I'd love to
Hmm.
be able to see all of my calendars because it's a two-way sync with Google Calendar, which is
Right.
really neat. So if I do it one place, it just shows up. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Um, Christina's agreeing with official communications on the website. That's huge, huge. Um, Ian for me's correcting both of us, or me primarily, that moleskin comes on various sizes, probably because it's a brand or a type. So my
Hmm.
guess would be that I was trying to compare it as if it was just a particular notebook.
Hmm.
So thank you for that. Um, let's see. Back to Voya. Straight up, I will not work with Big Me. This is exactly
Yeah.
why.
Christina, what did I find out in a couple of months ago? There was
Yeah.
such a big push of something out remarkable to bloggers. Um,
I
that's
think
weird.
that
That's odd. I didn't see that.
yeah, this happened, and Roderick, this is how I see that. So the AI paper, I've got this. I don't dislike Vywoods as a company. I don't think they're a scam,
Hmm.
but I do think that some of their marketing is suspicious. When you tell me that your 10-inch device, 10.65-inch device, is worth $800, and nothing on the market is anywhere close to that $800 price point, and it's constantly discounted to $549, and then a $50 off coupon that is a direct, in some cases, commission link back to reviewers. And the reviewers were transparent, so no issue there.
Hmm.
But if you're doing those sorts of things, your device is worth $499. That's what the market is.
Hmm.
The market is, or it's worth the 549 with a slight discount. It's not worth 800. So, and they've
No,
never sold it for 800.
was it? What was the price of it in the Kickstarter? Because that's
The list was 800, but it was the deal for members was around that $549.
oh,
So they've just not changed their marketing. Their marketing is consistent from Kickstarter to launch.
okay, okay.
And that's the problem I have, is that I get a higher price point, but those backers assumed people would be paying $800 for this tablet,
Hmm.
and they're not. And,
No,
and
and
so to
that.
me, that's a little bit disingenuous to me. But to go back to Christina's point real quick, I didn't mean to confuse those two.
Mhm.
Bywoods is being very targeted in their communication, sending out free products, paying people for sponsored ads. Remarkable Paper Pro did the same thing. And I think Remarkable was smart to do that. I don't think there's anything wrong with sending these review units out. I don't think there's anything wrong with paying for sponsorships as long as people are transparent about it. But it's I Supernote's not in that game. I don't think they're going to do that. But at the same time, and quite frankly, a lot of e providers aren't in that
Mhm.
game. I just think Vywoods is a little shady in the way they price it so high, and they do
I
the
think,
same thing with their 7.8-inch, their mini. They're
yeah,
saying it's
I
worth
never
like
used
five
that one.
hundred or $600.
Yeah, I never used that device, so I'm not sure how good that is. But I do love the screen on that Vivewoods. Like I don't know if it's $800 worth of screen, but it's definitely nice. Um, and I think that's the kind of thing you can get away with when you start on Kickstarter, right? Because like I mean, Kickstarter is kind of the wild west in what you can do. You know what I mean, as far as campaigns and whatnot. So I think that's the kind of thing you can get away with on Kickstarter, and people don't really bat an eye at because it's Kickstarter. But yeah, I don't. That it would have never sold at that price.
Well, and
It
it's
would.
still on their official site at that price
It's
with a big
that
line through it. And
right.
that's the problem. Kickstarter, I agree with you.
Hmm.
They could say it's worth $10,000 on
Right.
Kickstarter.
Exactly.
That's different.
Hmm.
That's crowdsourcing. We don't know what the final price is going to be. This is our estimate. I'm
Hmm.
good.
Right.
You start putting it out and saying I'm getting some steep discount.
That they're maintaining
uh,
that. Yeah. Throughout. Yeah. No.
That's what's
The
got me.
device to me is worth the 500 that people are buying it for, though. It's worth
Now I'm
that,
not
but it's not worth $800. I can say that now.
well, and I'm not disputing that. I mean, from every review I've seen, from your interactions and Jeffrey Moss and Voya and Kit, I trust all of you. If you say it's a good product, I believe that.
No, well, I don't know if it's a good product yet. The
Well, I
screen
don't
is
know.
good.
You haven't done a review on
Yeah,
it yet,
yeah.
but I'm just saying the people that I trust in the space
Hmm.
have said it's a good product. It's not
Hmm.
100% ready yet, but it's a good product.
Right, right.
So I'm fine with that. I don't believe if you can buy the Note Max for $650 that you would ever consider a Viwoods for $800.
Yeah. They were able to do that in Kickstarter too because they were a beginning company, no one had ever kind of heard of them.
Yeah.
There was no track record, so it was like you didn't know what you were getting as far as the technology was concerned. They got good marketing.
They do, except for that one contention
Yeah.
I've got. And
Yeah.
that's, to me, be truthful.
Yeah.
And Mashup
Yeah.
Mike says just a marketing thing. And he says he would be unhappy if he backed that product. Let's see if
Oh,
we can get that up there a little
yeah,
bit
yeah,
more, man.
definitely.
Because
Celio says,
you're
no, go, what were you saying?
where you at?
No, I was saying Celio said Moleskin A6 is way smaller than Nomad. You know what? When I've worked in a few labs in my day. I worked in a chemistry lab and I worked in a biochemistry lab. And the notebooks that are carried around in chemistry labs are smaller than the A6. So that's why when you said the Moleskin, I just assumed that was the kind of notebook you were talking about because those are the kind that the people carry around the labs, and those things they don't fit in your this pocket, but the size of notebook that I'm thinking will fit in like a front lab coat pocket.
Yeah,
You know what I
I
mean?
know what
Yeah,
I know exactly what you're
yeah,
talking
yeah,
about.
yeah. And that's what I assumed it was, but regardless though, I think 7.8 inches is now that I'm in the e-ink game, it's a weird size for writing. Reading, I think it's perfect. Writing, it's a different, but it will go in my bag though. It will get used, so I won't be selling it.
No, yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I think that it's a good. So, and here's something I do want to get your take on because one thing that and when I kind of talked about this live stream, and keep firing away your questions because that's one thing I wanted to do today. And then this thing with me and Rod kind of just happened. It was like, hey, big news stuff
yeah.
happening. Let's talk about it. But one nice thing is that even though we've been and someone challenged me on this in Reddit, which I understood their point. They said, would you still be as because I came to Rada's defense a little bit, well, a lot really,
Hmm.
because I've been on the other side of that customer experience where I've been the person yelled at, I've been the person who was maligned and told it was awful, uh, but also because I look at the overall interaction and I look at the fact that someone asked me, they said, if you didn't have your A5X, would you still be as understanding? And I said, well, yes, because quite frankly, you buy the device you need. And this came up during your stream the other day, I think, too. You buy the
Mhm.
device you need for the time you need it.
Right.
So I wouldn't be sitting there waiting. I would, number one, there's a difference between want and need.
Hmm.
I
Absolutely.
wanted a device like this so that I could replace paper. I didn't need it. I could have kept on doing my paper stuff.
Hmm.
Now I need to keep a device like this, regardless of what it is,
Hmm.
because it is now in my workflow.
Yep.
A lot of these people who don't have it yet are rightly concerned, but they don't yet need it. They haven't hit that point to where it's part of that daily flow, part of that workflow. So there's just a lot more anger, I think, um, than there should be
Okay.
over it. And maybe that's just me, but that's how I view it. You know, you could do all of these things we do on an iPad if you wanted to. You wouldn't like the writing experience as much, and you wouldn't, there's all these other things that you
Right.
wouldn't be able to, but you could replicate the process
Hmm.
or using one of the book's devices or anything else.
Well, see,
Um,
but that's the problem with the Supernote is that there's no and like I said, I brought this up on a stream, and there is I couldn't think of a replacement. People were like, "Oh, you could buy the 10.3, you could buy those would be things you could buy right now, but they wouldn't be a Supernote replacement."
and that's not my, oh, wait a minute, hold on. Assad, MW, thanks. Have a good one, guys. Appreciate it. Um, no, and to my point, it's not that you could do everything, but you could replace paper.
Hmm.
So you could, all of them will do that.
Right.
What it won't do is allow you to replace your full workflow.
Hmm.
But then again, your workflow hasn't been established yet because you're not already using it.
Exactly.
So to your point, if I was using a books device, my way of using the device would conform to the device in some ways. I'd
Mm-hmm.
figure out a way, to make it work. It wouldn't be ideal
Right.
because I did a lot of research before I picked the Supernote. And that's why I picked that particular product. But it's not worth getting all hyped up about and mad about in the moment. To me, it's not. If you felt like you had to have the device,
Go
that's
buy
one
something.
thing.
Well, I mean, the thing is, to me, it's like y- y- if you wait, then you're not doing something you could be doing, right? And no device is worth that. You not doing some things that you could be doing. So that's why I say just go buy what's going to do for you at the time that you need it, and it's up, and then make changes when new information comes up. So when a new device comes out, change your workflow. Buy that better device that's going to suit what you're doing better. But for people who need to get things done, like I think it's far more important to get your whatever you want to get done. And not that people aren't getting things done, because like you said, whatever you're doing up to this point is going to work until you do something different. But if you have it in your mind that you want to work in a different way, all of these devices will replace paper.
Yeah, and I think to be fair, the Nomad would actually work really well, even for an academic, not for grading. So, like, if you just wanted a note taker and a reader, and you wanted something to be present with you in meetings, and you
Hmm.
wanted modularity, and you wanted all the Supernote tools, and wanted all of those components,
Hmm.
then you get it all. Now, yeah, you're going to have a little bit of, you know, sell it when the new one comes out and the bigger size you want is there.
Right.
That's fine. But if it depends what's important.
Hmm.
And I
Yeah.
think that's where the hate came in with the whole Reddit thing. And I was kind of like, okay, I get it, but let's back down a little bit. Let's
Like.
let let's lower the temperature. It's an e-ink device. It's niche already.
Hmm.
It's not something that's going to make or break your life.
Yeah, but you know what though, and I'll go back to this one fact that I brought up earlier, and I don't like the problem stems from just not having a device on, we wouldn't even be talking about this right now. I think we might have even said this already, so I won't beat a dead horse. But we wouldn't even be having this conversation if they had a device, a flagship device they could sell. They're a company without a flagship device right now, I guess. Is the dilemma.
Well, I would say their flagship right now is the A6X2. It's the only device, but I would say that. But I would also say it's won engineering awards. It's different. It's different than anything else on the market
Mm-hmm.
because it's modular.
Mm-hmm.
That is a huge difference. It's a game
Mm-hmm.
changing difference. I mean,
Yeah.
Remarkable spent all that money telling us how the Remarkable Paper Pro is easier to repair. Okay, but I can't repair it. So, yes, I get that you've made it easier for someone else to do it for me, but you didn't make it so I could do it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the game changing piece of this. And I think that puts them in a very unique space.
A lot of things put them, yeah, in a very unique space amongst all of these devices for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. That sustainability piece I think is huge.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I'm trying to think what else. We've been going for almost an hour and a half, but I just want to think if there's anything else we haven't hit on. We kind of, I had some ideas, and the last thing I was going to mention though is I know everybody's thinking, seriously, why'd you buy this thing? And
Well,
I
hey,
know I mentioned it on your stream, and you were like, oh, and you like flipped out, and you're like, oh, it's just a reader. No, it's not. It's actually a note taker, but I'm going to use it as a universal reader.
okay.
Is my idea because I have my Kobo that I love, which is the Aura One, which is a beautiful device, and but it's just Kobo.
Yeah.
I can read Kobo and library books on it, and some EPUBs.
Right.
I can't read Kindle. I can't, read if I wanted to buy something from Barnes and Noble. I can't. There are all kinds of things that I can't do by being trapped in an ecosystem.
Okay.
So the Wave was $99, and I think they may drop it again one more time.
And
Right
that
now it's
at that price is not a
199.
bad. Yeah, if that price is not a bad purchase for sure.
No, for an e-reader,
Yeah.
because you get all of them.
Absolutely.
That's the way I looked at it. Plus, it has all the writing functions, which are interesting. So we're gonna have a writing review at some point, um, just to do due diligence and show people
Right.
what works on it.
Absolutely.
But it has shape recognition. It has its version of Scribbles, and it has a calendar, and I mean, it's got a lot of, and it has Google Play. So it has some functionality that makes it a decent device. But again, it's not about, with me, the device. It's about productivity and how
Ah.
can I be productive. And for
Mm-hmm.
me, the most productive device is the A5 or is the Supernote. Either one, if I was forced to pick, I would go down in size to have the toolkit.
Okay. Yeah. I hear that, and so would I. I mean, because the tools are that important, which is why I say there isn't much of a replacement. But hey, since we're at this 1 hour and 30 minute mark, I had a hard out at one, and I stayed at 1:30. I was like, oh
Oh,
God, but no, we're good though, because I'm supposed to be watching this football game right now, and like I told my girl I'd watch it. Like I don't even do football like that too much these days, but sometimes you got to do it. Sometimes you got to do it.
hey, no, hey, I used 10 or 11 and 1, man.
Whoa. Oh yeah. Um. Detroit.
Knocked off, knocked off. Well, I'm talking college.
Oh, okay. All right. My bad. Okay.
Indiana.
Indiana's
So
11-1. Okay. I
11
was
and
thinking.
1, only lost to Ohio State.
Okay. Well, listen. Go. Hoosiers.
Hoosiers.
Go Hoosiers.
Anyway, thank you for joining, folks. I'll stay around to answer these last couple of questions, but no, Rod, as always, if you all aren't subscribed to this man, get over there.
Oh,
He's
thank you so
got
much,
a
man. Thank you so
99-cent
much.
membership too. Jump in, get into that crew. He
That
listens,
definitely,
and he
definitely.
is just he's a great guy. And be on the lookout for the E-Team stream next Sunday.
Yes. Next Sunday, the
Same
15th.
channel, and I will fix whatever was crashing us,
All
but
right.
we will get that taken care of.
All right. Hey, take care, everyone. Thank you for joining us, and Ed, thanks for having me, man. And I will check you out. I'll probably talk to you later on today. So.
All right, buddy.
All right. Take
Have a
care,
good
man.
one. Enjoy the
Yep.
game.
Yep. Peace.
All right, everybody. I'm still here, so let's tidy up a few last questions and everything. Um, and so David put up, even though I'm using the VWoods Mini as an and AI paper, when the A5X2 comes out, I'll reevaluate. Yeah, I think that if you're in that market, if you're in that position, David, to be able to buy multiple devices, I think the dream combination is to stay in an ecosystem. If you're comfortable in the Supernote ecosystem, that would be the A5X2 and the A6X2. If you're in books, it would be some combination of their devices. Remarkable, I don't know that I would spring for both the Remarkable 2 and the Remarkable Paper Pro because color isn't important to me. If it is to you, I understand that. Um, Carolini DeVita says, "Did you figure out how to have less ghosting on the Mobiscribe?" It depends on what you're in. That's a good question. So, um, in their EPUB reader, you can have it refresh on a specific schedule. And there is also a manual refresh if you pull down. I'm still going through the device, so there'll probably be some changes and some more information that comes up as I do this. But just wanted to make sure that uh, I let that I give it its full due. As of right now, there are some ghosting issues when you're in the reader in the actual app in Kindle or in Kobo. That's controlled more by the app than anything else, but I think it's still one of those things to think about. But I do like it as a reader. I'll be honest. There's this weird, and I show this in my video tomorrow morning, so be on the lookout for that. But there's this weird transition, even though animations are off, and Voya showed this a year ago in the Kindle app, where it just jumbles everything together and then pulls it off and separates it out back into a stable page. It's not super lengthy, but it's enough that you see it, and it's going to break your flow a little bit when you're reading. But it's a little weird. Kobo works fine. I'm working on testing Nook. EPUBs work fine. Most of them work really well. It also has a speaker, so you can do Audible, and it has Bluetooth, which the Supernote has Bluetooth as well, but it has an actual speaker on device, which is kind of cool. And I think that's something that really, you know, sets it. Having that Google functionality isn't a huge thing for me because I don't need it most of the time. But then I think of some of the benefits and it really makes a lot of sense. Any other last questions? Anything I didn't cover that I kind of mentioned in the live stream? Because I want to make sure that, or mentioned in the description, because I do like to make sure that I stay on task as much as possible. Let me look and just make sure and see if I hit our checklist today, because I do want to make sure that I did that. Anything else from you all that I did miss that you can think of or that you have a question about? Get it in here. In here in the chat. Pull that down. Just a second to see what we got. So we talked about Reddit. We talked about the Mobiscribe Wave. I did not lose my mind on that. We didn't go into detail on the Supernode Atelier update, but we did talk about it. We also talked about the fact that they released a desktop update, which is actually really good. They changed the login interface. They've improved the reliability. They've now made it to where you don't have to log in to be able to. And they kind of had this functionality for a while to where you could just open a device as long as you had the app installed on your computer and it would open the extension. But now they've kind of formalized that. So when you open the app, you don't have to log in to be able to use the files on your computer. As long as that app exists, you're good. Um, and then they also did the update on the Notes app. My biggest question was, are they foreshadowing by doing all of these updates? And now that kind of plays out with what happened with Voya this morning, that his announcement that he's going to be getting a device by the end of this month makes it really seem likely that they're basically pumping everything up and getting ready for the release of the A5X2. And that leads me to kind of that last point about them as a company that I think is important, is that they have this ethos of, we're not only going to make it modular so you keep it a long time. We're not only going to make it sustainable by making it out of plastic. We're not only going to make it durable and all of these other things, but we're also going to backwards compatibility as much as possible with these devices. So unless it depends on a hardware spec, everything currently that can be done on the A6X2 and when the A5X2 comes out, I can do on my A5X. So to me, that's a huge win in this space, and nobody else does that. I mean, Books is running multiple um, development chains with their different products, everything from the Note interface to I can't remember all the names of them, and then even the different software versions that are currently on everything pre uh, 4C. So to me, that's kind of a big issue. So those of you in the chat, I'm showing we have 11. If you have any last questions for the order, let me know. Um, Otherwise, we will probably call it here in just a minute. Well, again, everybody, thank you so much for being here with me today. Thanks for taking time out of your Sunday. Thanks, as always, to Roderick for jumping in. Uh, he's just a great friend, a great guy, knows his stuff, and just really appreciate him stopping by in this kind of impromptu Sunday conversation. Um, Nizoni does have one other question, real quick. Says, were you going to be able to get a review A5X2? Nizoni, yes, I will get a review unit when they send those out. I've been told by the company that when they do send out the review units, I don't have a date on that yet, that I will be getting the review unit. They were kind enough to send me an A6X2 when it released. And as soon as I can possibly get a review done, and once any embargo may be lifted as far as communication, because with these new devices, they want to make sure that they have uh, units on hand before they have reviewers start releasing product reviews. But definitely, I will do it as soon as I can. Um, it sounds like some reviewers obviously are getting it ahead. I think partially part of that was beta testing, so I know they send out some reviews to a select group. I'm not one of those group that test their products. But again, that's more hardware specs, design, making sure that it's a viable product. But again, that has to do with that piece. And it's not uncommon for these companies to send out the review units to reviewers ahead of time so that you have the launch of Remarkable, the launch of the newest books, Note Air 4C, to get those devices out there. V-Woods even did it during the Kickstarter so that when they launched the actual product, they already had reviews out there. But anyway, thank you all so much. Nazoni, thank you so much. This is always fun. It's always a good time. Sorry about the few technical glitches we had, but we'll have those solved. But stay tuned and be on the lookout for the E-Team stream next Sunday. And I will talk to you all soon. Have a great one.